Okay, my outstanding friends, I am really hoping for the best today. I got some information from my good friend who was with the European Space Agency and NASA and so forth, was a vendor for them. And they keep sending things out to him, and he forwards them through to me. And one of them that I got today was about efficiency, and the senators are speaking in NASA about how important it is and how good NASA is at creating efficiency. And I don't disagree with that. What we need to do, though, is get free energy. What I have had trouble with is that they will not respond to me with my fission and fusion. That particle started out exactly like this. A black ball and a white ball together, two of them back to back. That's a photon. We accelerated that light and split that photon, that's fission, and fusion back here, which creates raw energy, exactly like Fermi Lab and CERN and NASA want to see. The muon, which stays the black ball, and the electron neutrino, which turns into a shower, which originally was a white ball, just like the black ball. And that's how they came in, which is the muon is the black ball that's separated from the white, and the white turned into showers. There's new physics required. Everybody knows this. The Bohr model doesn't work. It's absolutely understood that that's not correct. But nobody knows what to do. I do, because electron flood theory, which is my dipole electron flood theory, says that everything is made out of these two particles. There's nothing other than these two particles that I can find. And they make the core, the nucleus of all atoms and molecules. Light is nothing more than atomic vapor. That was my statement in 1970, and it's still my statement today. Light is atomic vapor, which means you put all that stuff back together and you can make atoms. We put this through that Venturi, and we can make free energy approximately 200 times, 207 they say, times increase energy from where here to here because of this fission and fusion. This is what I need NASA and CERN and Fermi Lab to address. And I'm going to just show you, and we have to correspond with our senators and congressmen. Nobody will respond to me. And I think it's because I'm on spam lists. Nobody likes what I talk about. But what I talk about is the only way we're going to save the earth, my friends. Okay, if you doubt the validity of my claims, I just want to reiterate that I don't know, first of all, if we can actually get free energy from what I'm talking about, from this interaction, the fission and the fusion, but I believe we can. You can see the enormous increase in energy from back here. There's almost no energy at all. Because of the Venturi and the way we designed it, this is what creates the energy. And light is a particle. This is also something that isn't fully understood. Light is a particle, and it is a dipole to what we would have normally called electrons. But electrons have that dark side. Right? They have a white side and a dark side. I'm going to show you electron up close and personal. But we started with light, so there is no question that we're in the light range. Photons are photons. That's a green pulsed laser. And that's what hit our Venturi. I'm sorry, that was a red pulse laser. I say green? I think I did. Anyway, the red is the one that we used here, and this we could really sort of work with and see absolute unbelievable separation. The green is a little bit more energetic. The blue is just out of control. We really can't see. This is what happens with the blue. When it comes in, it's coming this way. It comes in, it's just sizzling, and then it just sort of opens back up again, and you can see it's spinning. The particle is spinning because this is one shot of the same particle. Anyway, let's look at the green, and then I will show you what the actual particle looks like itself. And then if we can create free energy, oh my God, can you imagine? These planes could sit out there for a week, and people just be playing their video games on them, and the engines could just be running, because you're going to have free energy. No energy whatsoever. Absolute 100% free. Once you build the device, you never have to do anything. No more gas, no more oil, nothing. I mean, you have to maintain the mechanical part of it, absolutely. But the solid state devices, the laser, the receiving device, the filters, the rectifiers, all that stuff is just standard off-the-shelf stuff, and you don't do much maintenance with that stuff. It just sort of runs, and that is where we would be. Cars, you just never have to pull over to get gas. This would change a lot of things. I know it would be interruptive to a lot of people, but it would open up such a vast amount of resource abilities that, we could clean the water, we could clean the air, we could make food, we could, do all of the things that we need to do. All these vehicles and house and heating, and they would be just like this. If my system works, this is what you would be able to carry around with you in the woods. And any of these voltages, 50 cycles, 60, AC, DC, 100 volts, 220, any kind of, whatever you want. And about this size, you could probably, I would think you might be able to power a house. We're talking about fission and fusion. It's unbelievable, but I'm presenting the evidence, and I'd like it looked at by the people that are trying to help to make these efficiencies. Very important to take a look at this immediately. All right, if you want to go back to this is the entire electron flood theory. This is everything. All you ever have is these two. Muon, I'm saying, is dark matter. It's gravity. Doesn't reflect, doesn't emit, doesn't absorb, and it does not compress. The electron does everything just opposite. Totally opposite. You saw it. That's what a photon looks like. It's just two electrons together. Electron will burn into you. Lightning, static, electricity, electron. Photons bounce because they have a field around them that just says, hey, I don't want to incorporate in you. This one's just got one little field that says, I'm going to glue onto somebody. And it does. It right through the air now. You can see static, you can see lightning, you can see electricity. It tries to get to ground. Why? Why does it try to get to the ground? Because it's sucking electrons into the ground to drive up through the pole, up through the North Pole, and come back down to the South Pole. Because we're spinning in a soup of electrons called the vacuum of space, which is not a vacuum. It's loaded with these particles because they are light. So obviously, if they're coming from the sun, they're light. And they're obviously particles. And that is exactly what happens in a generator. A generator spins through a whole field of magnetic particles, and it creates push to shove, and you create a magnetic field. Nothing different than what we're doing here. The Earth literally is a generator. It's a generator. And I've shown this with my meter and how you turn it one way, and a DC motor, you turn it one way and you get positive voltage, you turn it the other way, you get negative voltage. All it is pushing electrons this way, pushing electrons that way. It's just as simple as that. And it's push to shove. Everything is. And our atmosphere, the same thing. The outer layer of our atmosphere is 2,700 degrees because these particles here are interacting with the particles that are coming from the sun, the solar wind, all that plasma that's in space, and we are scrubbing our contained plasma atoms, which is our atmosphere. And the ionosphere is where that interface happens. As we go through, and it heats out 2,700 degrees. It's not a carbon blanket, my friends. It is push, scrub, shove. Space is not a vacuum. We need to do a little more retrospect here. All right, now don't forget, this is all about efficiency. And this is trying to create efficiency with air traffic and so forth. Because it's going to get huge. I mean, it's going to get more and more and more and more. So the more they pollute the atmosphere with these planes and all these hydrocarbons and everything, that's a disaster. We need free energy. So efficiency, that's fine. Moving the planes in and out faster, that's fine. Listen to what they have to say. I say free energy, you wouldn't have to move them at all. You could sit there all day and just have a party in the plane and just keep the lights on forever. Because it's all free. Once you build the thing, it just goes. And you should never have to add even any energy into that system. It would just make its own energy, because fission and fusion is a way to increase the potential energy of that particle 207 times by splitting it. That's not my statements. Those are the statements of the people that we put in charge of trying to do this stuff, and we have done it. I've just shown you. So listen to what he's saying.
And we're not sitting out, burning gas on the runway, creating all sorts of noise and pollution. We can just get airborne right away and get passengers or customers where they need to be a lot sooner.
Not only is ATD2 helping the airline operators, but it is also helping reduce the workload of the air traffic controllers.
So during my career, I have seen many programs and systems strive to increase efficiency. That's what most of these new projects try to do. In my opinion, what all the successful ones have in common is automation or procedures that help reduce controller workload and increasing the efficiency at the same time. Reducing controller workload is normally not the primary goal of most of these projects, but it definitely ends up being a result. So by reducing the controller workload, we can increase efficiency, increase capacity in the NAS, and then that'll translate into savings for the flight operators.
As the work from this team begins to wrap up, what they have accomplished has drastically changed the way the affected airports do their jobs for the better. But will this technology move from the test sites to a nationwide deployment?
The single airport technologies that we're demonstrating in Charlotte are on a path to deployment by the FAA to 27 airports across the nation. And the FAA has told us that our demonstration in Charlotte has exceeded the benefits that they projected for the system. So they're very pleased that to have these demonstrated benefits to talk about as they take the system into nationwide deployment.
This demonstration is more than a success story. It is a story in the making. Imagine the possibilities when the FAA deploys NASA technology at airports across the country. Through this demonstration, NASA once again proves its value to our nation, building on decades-long problem solving of the nation's toughest challenges.
Okay, that is fabulous, and I'm not against NASA whatsoever. I know there's a lot of people, oh, NASA this, NASA that. That's not me. What I want to do is increase the efficiency of the engines, so the engines don't burn anything. We can make these things, you could have them stacked up here, 1,000 of them. And not only that, you have the energy to create all of these products to make these planes. We could just, I mean, things would be just unbelievably good, and people wouldn't have to fight for resources, and they wouldn't have to build infrastructure. We could have things like this and bring them over to Africa and places in Peru and the jungles and so forth where they have absolutely nothing. And they've probably been used, and their water supplies have been ruined and destroyed if they had anything to offer the rest of the world. The rest of the world has already taken it, and they probably are in desperate need of some assistance, which I see, and it breaks my heart every day. And this thing in Ukraine, oh my God, I can't even start to talk about that. I shouldn't have talked about that, going down that road. But anyway, we are all competing for resources. That's another benefit of what I'm talking about. If this technology would work, and we will know within 30 days, I can guarantee you within 30 days, we would know if what I'm talking about would work. If it doesn't work, just go on your way. All we need, we have lasers already, no question whatsoever. We have solar panels and collectors. There's new technology coming up with the thin film, and I've been deep into that too. They call them Perscovites. Now, and all they are is thin film metals, and all they are is doing is ablating with this same technology. They're ablating, which means to vaporize different types of metals. Different types of metals absorb. Pretty much they're working over in this other metals area, but I would think they would work down here in the transition metals, because these will absorb deep energy levels, and all they do is spray different layers on these, just a molecule or two thick, thin film they call it, and as that film goes by, they hit it one of these, magnesium, sulfur, right down the line, and all of those will pull in white laser. If we use white laser, you're going to get a lot more. Anyway, there's a little more to it than what I'm saying, making it sound so easy. It is easy. This is a laser. We got them. I showed you that it increases that energy value. All we need to do to prove point, and I can't do this, I don't have the equipment to do this, but it would only take somebody in a very small shop to take and put some kind of a harvest device after they created the Venturi. Creating the Venturi is the key. The key to this whole thing is the exact way this Venturi is. And all it was is two round metal pins about this tall up. And the laser shining right in between them. And it was such a fine tuning of the slit that the light had to crush itself into that Venturi and squirt through that. However, because the black can't compress, it had to get out of the way. And I think it's because of the pulses. I think the black is just a pusher. I think that's the squirter. As it hits here, it goes, and only the white goes. But the black ones are boom, 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 and the white is going chip, 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 chip. But the white is just powerful as hell. That's what we need. All I'm asking is for 30 days from our government, from the senator. He's just telling how important everything is, and I am not against that whatsoever. We need to talk to this fellow right here, and we need to talk to this fellow right here, Senator Bill Nelson, I believe it is. Senator Bill Nelson. Everybody contacts Senator Bill Nelson. Ask him if he would get a hold of NASA. He's an advocate of NASA, as I am. I am not against anybody. I'm just against refusing to look at things that have the potential to solve literally everything. If what I'm talking about works, the world is a completely different place. In 30 days, we're not talking about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. We're talking about next week. Okay, I was hoping Senator Nelson could talk to somebody at Fermi Lab, and possibly Don Lincoln. I'd love to discuss this with him. This is what I have found, exactly identical to what I showed before, which is the black particle Don talks about, which has a defined size, doesn't change, and has that little tiny glow around the outside, exactly what I showed before. And this is the point particle, which I agree. It can expand, it can contract, and I don't know if it has any mass or not, because he doesn't know either. Nobody knows. This is pretty brand new stuff. Now, they ask, and again, this is Fermi Lab, this is a government agency, and the senator is a government person. Now, here's what they're asking for. Here's what they say. And again, I don't think I can get through to anybody. I have a very hard time. Please, someone, everybody, contact, it says, do you have a question? Today at fnal.gov, which is the Fermi National Laboratory. And that's a government agency. Senator Nelson is looking for efficiency. I think we can do something with this. If we can get just a very small amount of interaction with somebody that has the resources to do this. We don't have the resources to do this. But I've shown what I think is exactly what Don is talking about. Okay, I'm going to leave it at this. The beauty of what we did was we created fission here of one little particle, which is a light particle. All right? And it's smashed into its magnetic bits. And the black bit wouldn't go through and the white bit would. Now, back here, they have to come back together. And here's where they start to grab a hold. They're coming out. And they're grabbing a hold of these particles again, and they're becoming full particles again. In the meantime, they're just half particles. They're just raw energy, and that is exactly what CERN wants to show right here, or is asking. They've seen these. They can't control them the way we're controlling. We're controlling them with a Venturi. Now, if the senator would get a hold of somebody at Fermi Lab or CERN or whoever, I don't know. I have no control on this. And again, please email these people and the senators and everybody. I've tried and I don't get any responses, and I think I am on spam lists. I know I am, so you know, I do research in a lot of areas, and people don't like people stepping on people's toes, and in this realm either. So please, we need help, and this could really change the world really quickly. Everything's off-the-shelf components. All right, we're looking for efficiency. Let's get it going. And the beauty is, as I said, we're working with one of these particles. When they are doing fission and fusion, otherwise, they're working with chunks like this. When they break these apart and that hits you, you're in trouble, because this wants to, it's not a stable particle. It's going to throw another chunk off a little while later, and another chunk a little while later. We're only working with one of these particles, which is light. That's the smallest particle there is. And everything that I can determine from what I've seen with light, And I always knew it was a dipole particle. It has to be. There's no such thing as a single charged particle, except for this one event right here. And that only lasts for like spontaneous combustion. Dip, done. And the nucleus is a batch of dipoles. It has to be. Bohr model doesn't work. So we need to do, you know, and everybody knows we need new physics. It's not a mystery. It's just that we need to be able to examine what I'm showing. Because if we're in the light range, breaking these particles apart and showing exactly what CERN and Fermilab and Lawrence Livermore and NASA and all of them want to see, I think it deserves, you know, a little investigation, and, you know, Senator Nelson hopefully will jump right in on this. Thank you. I love you all. Okay, so don't forget, this is Don Lincoln's assessment of what these particles are and how they react, and that this is a fixed size. It never changes. It's got that little glowy thing around it, and that the other one, you know, exactly what I showed. So I agree with Don Lincoln 100%. All right, really, this is exactly identical to what Don Lincoln is explaining, is that black ball never concusses, has this little glowy part around it. The white one is a point particle. It can expand, it can contract, and it may have no mass whatsoever. He's questioning that, and I can't say it does. But this is what they look like when they are photons. And we did fission and fusion of a photon, which is subatomic fission and fusion. And I also agree with CERN and Don Lincoln and everybody that these are muon neutrinos, are the black part, which they have seen, and they know they don't do any change whatsoever. It's a fixed size. It doesn't do anything different. And this is what we see here. You see all the black balls surrounding this? They can't get through that tiny slit. It's a fixed size. We made the slit so tiny, they can't get through. So all they do is bang, 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 and that squirts this like shooting an injector, like a fuel injector, squirting it, squirt, squirt, squirt. And that's what's happened there, squirt, 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 right through. And it's coming out of here with a vengeance. Now, it separates, fission, comes back together, fusion. There's the electron neutrino I showed you before. They were attached. Now they've fizzed, fission, and made the showers. So I agree with Don exactly on that too, and Fermilab and all of them, CERN. But they need to work in the light range, and they wanted to. In 1978, they had a special commission on how to do photon collisions, but they always want to collide, thinking that will give them the most amount of energy. We, I think, made at least as much energy as a head-on collision, but we could focus it. So we're using dark energy to create white energy. Because I think these are like bowling balls hitting the pins and driving them through into the back. You know, it's like boom, 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 but you're just bowling, like shooting bowling balls like a machine gun. And the pins are running with them, and the pins are able to go through, and the bowling balls bounce back out. It's a strange new world, my friends. Very strange new world. But I agree with Don about the particle that it does not change size, the black, and the other one is a point particle, as we can see. It expands, it contracts, and I agree with them about the names. I mean, call them anything you want, but I agree. Don, I agree. Senator Nelson, let's get this thing done. We can have these things in people's hands. We can put this in somebody's hand. Can you imagine handling this? Something like this to say, okay, you're on your own. No grid, no problems, no pollution, no nothing. Just plug whatever you want in there. And then you can use all that energy to do whatever you want with it. All right, people can stay warm, they can stay well fed, they can stay clean water, they can build things, they can solve the problems of the earth and not expand the gases. It's the expansion of the gases which is our real major problem. So please, let's interact. That's all I'm asking for. All right? Hold on one second. All right, I talked about perxovites. There's this new stuff, this thin film metals. This is what we need to focus on, thin film variables, and that's what's going to receive that power. We need to figure out exactly the frequencies of the lasers that we want to use, the speed of the pulses, that boom, 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 like a jackhammer, The Venturi design, obviously, and the types of materials, and whether you use copper or whatever you use, and the design of the Venturi itself, and how thin the slit is and so forth. There's a little experimentation to do, not a lot. And then we can use these same thing to blast bits off to what they call ablation. So we could create these same design and put it right up next to some other, like lead or whatever, and actually spray off the particles. And we can use those particles to create the thin film. So, and then the thin film will be the thing that we'll have on layers, and we'll be able to absorb the same stuff that we use to blast it off. We'll be able to use the same power to create power. And that's the substrate and the collector that's going to extend. This is how you get a hold of me, roger@mudfossils.com. Now, this is why I'm pretty much, people don't like this side of my research, but that also I can back up 100%. And this, I have 100% backup on this. So let's get started, get back into reality, and hopefully we can get some free power at the same time. Okay, my friends, this is probably one of the most important videos I've ever done, because if this comes to fruition, this literally, and I'm not kidding you, could change our entire world and the future of humanity. And I'm not kidding you, I'm serious about it. Sounds crazy, very arrogant, but it is a fact. Senator Bill Nelson is confirmed as the NASA administrator. He's basically in charge of, from the government down. So everything that happens from him down is coordinated through him, I believe. So I'm asking for your help, Senator. I think we can get free energy to save almost all the problems of the world. If people aren't competing for energy, it would be a whole new dynamic of the world. Wars would be almost non-existent. Why would you want to go kill somebody for something that you can just go grow yourself, or have your own energy? I mean, that's just another side of this. What we need to do is stop the Earth from being destroyed, and at the same time get free energy. Pretty nice kicker. Let me show you what I am offering, sir. And if you can certainly contact me back, I'll have my email on there. I would be very, very pleased to interact. All right, thank you, sir.